All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the SAP. As always, it's your boy, Dave Neal, and Tasha Courtney. What, you already want my stuff?
I had just a small sip of caffeine.
I have a 22-second intro song, and you're already bothering me.
I think I've been bothering you all evening.
This is the second time we tried to record. I hit the record button, and she goes, I need a nap. And I'm like, what kind of low energy nonsense is that for the folks? They didn't come here for... No, give it back to me. This is what she does. If you're watching on the YouTube, she takes my stuff, then she places it back in a place that's convenient for her and not for me. And I'm not going to have that anymore, Tasha.
Okay.
I hate dead air on a podcast, but I was watching, I hate to call it out by name, I won't, a Bachelor podcast. And the guy looks at his, I guess by saying it, I'm going to be calling him out. He just looks at his papers and shuffles his papers as he talks for the first 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh, what a joy that must be to be able to not care what people think you look like for 10 minutes there.
Maybe he it's like a anxiety type thing, like a social anxiety.
I think it's a spectrum thing. God bless America, and God bless you, Tasha. So the podcast, as we all know, we've done this thing for. Before you know it, this is going to be a decade-long show. Podcasting hasn't been around, that long, really, in mainstream. But we've been here from the beginning, folks. Are you going to look at the monitor the whole time? I feel like I just caught you looking at the monitor. I'm just going to turn the monitor off so you can't see it. So there it is. I got some high-tech equipment over here, and Tasha can now see herself on the camera and can't not look at this. What if the whole podcast was me just making fun of things you do? I think that would be fine with me.
That's my whole life.
You do so many things that annoy me in such repetitive order that I can't fully address all of it. You're like the Trump of spouses, because Trump, like the news media, doesn't know what to do. They don't solve one problem before he lights the next thing on fire. And that's what it's like with you. Where like, I'm not even done making fun of you stealing my Diet Coke and you're already on to new things. It's too much.
Honey, maybe the issue is you. Maybe you need to check yourself. I'm doing perfectly normal things over here. Peeking at the monitor, that's what it's for. Having a sip of Coke, well, I said I was tired and I need a nap, so maybe you could share your caffeinated beverage.
Do you want to break into this? Is this the last can of wine that we have?
It is. It is wine number 12 of the 12 Days of Wine Miss.
For those of you guys that have been really worried about where we were in our wine schedule, as you guys know, Tasha bought these 12 days of wine on the 12th day on Christmas Eve, and she got them at a discount. So I tell you what, yeah, like we said before, they were originally going for $85 for 12 of these.
They were $70 every time you mention it. You add $5.
Yeah, but then they get you on the can tax. I don't know.
That's true. That is true.
California has a can tax. Here, let's get
you buy
get the audio.
It's not catching it.
Here, get it on the next one. Here we go. For those that don't believe us, here's the audio. Yeah, it didn't really come in.
Because you're holding it to the side of your microphone.
Oh, right.
It's a directional
critiquing
mic.
how I pour wine. Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, that one wasn't good either. Here, do it next to mine.
Oh, boy.
Here we go. All right. We're all done.
That is a dud ASMR.
So, yeah, this is the 12th day. This is the wine spritzer. We've tried probably 3 or 4 different red blends. I tell you what, I don't care how many, little awards labels they put on the cover of this thing. It ain't worth $89. It's just not. This is a $19.99 purchase. What did you end up spending on it?
I think about $20. Yeah, I don't really remember.
I'll say for 2 people that don't drink too much, the can of wine is great because you don't have to worry about the whole thing. 1 can of wine is 12 ounces or 375 milliliters.
It's 2 glasses.
Whereas a bottle of wine is
4 glasses.
Is 750 milliliters. So when you don't know what you want, we can have, like right now, we're drinking what is called a grapefruit wine spritzer, and this is not something you want 4 glasses of.
Right.
That would be disgusting. So
well, it's good. It's just like a nice, refreshing thing, and I'm kind of a lightweight when it comes to wine. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want more than 1 glass has been perfect on these nights that we've been having a can of wine.
You were a can of wine. This is a year into the pandemic. We're reviewing cans of wine, folks. What are we doing for dinner? Refried beans out of a can. Am I kidding? No, it's our leftovers. We've already, you know what I mean? Like this, I did want to find out what the official start of the pandemic is for us and have a sort of like year in review because
we're coming up on a pandemic anniversary. We're going to blink and it's going to be here.
Well, I do want to tease this for the people watching on YouTube that might not be familiar with the podcast. We've done it for 7 years. The YouTube channel has grown over 500% this year. Over 400%. I'm not good on math, but it's getting there, folks. So a lot of new people that have showed up and they don't really know what it's all about. We've got our friends like Jen Murphy, who gave us an amazing assortment of Canadian gifts. And everything from my new favorite Tim Horton mug. I'm dyslexic. I almost said Tim Morton hug. My Tim. if there's any Tim Mortons out there, I'll take a hug. But my Tim Horton mug, which with amazing coffee. We went through that way too fast. I mean,
that was very smooth.
Birthday's around the corner, Jen. If you're kidding, don't. I'll literally feel bad if you send us anything else. Please don't. But we've got so many thoughtful people out there. We've got a podcast listener who's looking to who wants to get Boone an orthopedic dog bed. I know, and we've got I don't even know if he can fit it. He's so big. He's so big and lumpy.
That's the sweetest thing I've ever heard.
They're the sweetest in the world. But the point is that there's a lot of people that found us on YouTube, and they might have been used to a 15 or 20-minute video, and they don't necessarily understand what podcasting is. It really is an audio art form. Call it art form, whatever you want to call it. We're reviewing cans of red wine. Come on, folks. But we put it on the YouTube because it is the best search engine in the world, and I'm sort of podcasting. Audio podcasting is like an ex-girlfriend to me. It's like I'm over it. I'm done with you. I'm done with the database of audio podcasting. It's not fair. It's not a meritocracy. For every inch I sort of grow, 15 inches of celebrities pass me, flicking me off as they get their new, perfect Dak Shepard podcast. It used to be an indie place. Anyway, I digress. I'm not bitter at all. Point is YouTube's the place to share it. YouTube is the place to comment. So even if you listen on the audio only, whether it be on Stitcher, SoundCloud, iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, wherever it is, just know that we're also on YouTube as well, and vice versa. So if you enjoy this conversation on YouTube and you got to go head out and do laundry and you can't be at home or whatever, just pop this episode in. There's always a link in the description, and you can listen on the audio only. I swear nothing much will change. We'll still be here drinking cans of wine. So anyway, thank you so much to people like Jen Murphy who've caught us this year, and everyone from the old school friends in Portland like Consuela, who goes by Nomad Chica, Oz in Vancouver. I mean, it gets annoying when I just do shout-outs all episode.
Oz sent us 2 Christmas cards this year.
Yeah. You think you were good, Leah, sending us 1 Christmas card from Michigan, looking all good with your cute little family.
We have more Christmas cards this year than any year ever before. And it really, I know it's like a small, like kind of silly gesture, but all of these Christmas cards made me so happy.
Yeah.
Did it for like a small pandemic Christmas where we're stuck in Los Angeles, like it was really nice to get messages from people all over the world.
I'm still surprised you didn't have a breakdown.
A breakdown about what?
About being away from your family on Christmas. We just took the lights down, by the way. I thought we were going to keep the lights up. The SAP lights we took down. Apparently, someone had commented it was giving them seizure flare-ups or something because the way the frame rate of the lights hit, it made it look like it was flickering the whole time, even though it wasn't. Bought them at Walmart, and the Waltons support small businesses, folks. So we appreciate all of you guys. From the bottom of our heart, it's been so good to get to know you guys. And so much so that last episode, we had Lisa Reed on. Lisa found me through YouTube, just like a lot of people did, and started listening to the podcast or random videos, and found out she lives near the bowling alley. I'm talking to these people on, I said these people like I'm talking to these people on my live streams, and she's like, when someone's like, oh, I live near the bowling alley, I'm like I'm talking to people from South Africa, and what bowling alley? And she's like, oh, the one by Vermont. I'm like, oh, you live in our neighborhood.
I used to have bowling club there. Do you remember that? Do you remember when I was on the bowling club?
You were, that was one of the many things you bailed on once you started dating me.
Well, it wasn't.
You were quite the rec league. Tasha did kickball, bowling club. She was really out there living her best, like Jewish summer camp.
Here's what I'll say. It wasn't necessarily a conscious thing that I was doing to like meet somebody, but it was. I started doing that. I mean, I'm trying to think like where I was in my relationship status.
I don't.
But like I was single, and I I think I had like kind of like casually met some people, but like nothing was going on.
Were you getting hit on nonstop in bowling club? Club bowl?
No, I really wasn't. Like I said, I wasn't trying to meet people through these things, but I think it was just a product of being single in Los Angeles and not really knowing anybody. Because when I moved out here, I didn't know anyone. I knew the girl, the photographer that I had met in New York, and we ended up sharing an apartment together. We were roommates. I knew my ex who lived out here, but that's two people.
Well, my question for you is always, do we, you got rid of all these intramural activities. Do you get enough social time outside of me?
Well, I think back then I didn't have a very big friend circle, even with girlfriends. That was like I was just getting to know a lot of my model girlfriends.
The worst types of people, folks. I'm kidding. They're very nice. If you're listening, we appreciate you.
But
there's nothing better than me getting to hang out with Tasha and her model friends. It's very nice.
My point is that I think I was just looking for like some socialization, and I actually met the person who introduced me to the people who got me into all of these sports when I was out drinking with the models at a little bar in West Hollywood. Some random dude came up to us and invited us to the Terrys.
As you do. Yeah.
And so I met the Terrys, and I started this habit of just like saying yes to everything, because I didn't want to like be held back by not having a buddy to go with. Like, just trust that it's going to be okay. Go to these activities by yourself. You'll make friends.
Do you think you stopped saying yes, or do you think, because today you said yes. Today you said yes to some random cryotherapy. You said yes to...
No, I don't think I've stopped saying yes. I think I just am seeking out less like random things to do. Back then I think I had a little more free time and I was single, and so you're just like looking for ways to fill your days. Now I have pretty full days, so I don't think I'm not saying yes.
Well, no, because it's like if I got asked to go to some event, I mean, when it's through stand-up comedy, I feel like I don't feel obligated to invite you unless it's something I think you would enjoy. But it's like, at what point do we get to the part of the relationship where we start doing things? And I'm not projecting onto you, but you see these couples that go on like a vacations away from their partner. Like today, for example, we spent 4 hours apart, which is a lot during the pandemic. And it was like, you went to go get a haircut and get cryotherapy, and I worked. And then I was like, hey babe, how was your day? Versus normal, when we turn the mics on, it's like, how was your day? Oh yeah, it was next to me on the couch all day. Like the rituals during the pandemic have been sort of like really cemented into place.
It's pandemic time. So, it's like you're trying to make us out like we're really boring, and like we're a little boring, but we're not like really boring.
Well, we're not really boring, but it's when you spend all day together, it takes away the, like, I have zero stories. I can't be like, hey babe, can you guess what happened to me today? It's like, I already told you as soon as it happened. Over and over all day long.
New news.
Yeah, I got no news.
But we like, you were talking about people doing vacations apart. Like, I've gone to I went to my friend's wedding in Mexico, and you're still sour about it.
Thanks for the invite, Andrea. No, I'm not sour about it. I didn't know who she was. She said they're having a kid now, which, by the way, is that not out there?
It is out there.
It's out. That's on her Instagram.
But still,
don't look at me. I was on it. You can see. Oh, that would have been a whole hour of editing that out. What's crazy is they moved to a new city, and then he got like an office, and then I saw her Instagram post with a baby bump, and it's like turning his office into a nursery. I'm like, that poor bastard. You convince him to move to a new city. You're like, babe, you can get an office. You'll have your own space. And now
they actually moved for his job. So
yeah, well, I'm just taking the guy's side, as I like to do. We've reached a pinnacle, and by the way, this is what I wanted to tease, is I had a few Bachelor related things I wanted to talk about. So if people are watching this on YouTube and it says I'm going to talk about X, Y, and Z, and you're 14 minutes in, you just hang in there, folks. When I put it on YouTube, I try to make a little timestamp so people can jump around if they need to. We reached a pinnacle of the pandemic today, where I bought a weight scale.
We need it. I'm convinced that changing my birth control has made me a little chubby.
I'm convinced frozen pizza has made me chubby, and Susan Rich over there sending me pizza. What are you doing, Susan? Come on, I'm trying to lose weight. No, I appreciate it. Speaking of awesome people that are out there on the internet. And again, I'm going to be bouncing around a few times here because I didn't even finish what I wanted to say about Lisa. But yeah, that's where I am in the pandemic, that I realized I used to weigh myself weekly at the gym. And everyone always says, oh, you don't need a scale. It's about how good you are. I've got toxic optimism when I look in the mirror, and that's not healthy. I'll be like, like if I'm chubby, I'll immediately look at the least chubby part and be like, oh yeah, shoulders are looking nice. It's like you framed out your fat nipples, Dave. I'll immediately, versus like someone like you'll take the one part you don't love and be like, oh my gosh, look at this horrible part of me. Whereas I'm like, that's crazy. And then I'll look at myself and be like, hey, you still got it, Dave. And then I'll see a photo and I'm like, that's not even stomach flab, that's hanging over. Like, I've got that point where my stomach knows where my belt is and it only puts fat above the belt line and then it just falls over.
Yeah, that's when you need to start wearing like a compression garment to help like redistribute your fat in the way it's supposed to be distributed.
Is there a term for that, for bro spanks?
I don't know. You should invent.
No, there's a term for that. That already exists. They already make that like long shirt so you can tuck it in all the way, because when you do get to a certain size, any sort of bending whatsoever rips the shirt out of your pants. Not that I tuck mine in, but
it's true that you can damage your fat cells by wearing too tight of clothing. So you can eliminate fat in a certain area by having constant pressure on that area. So if you have a specific spot where your pants sit that has no fat on it, you should start wearing your pants like an inch above.
I've been
or an inch below.
Full elastic pants for a year now, so that's not the problem. Literally for like 6 months, I didn't put jeans on. I'm wearing jeans today because we went to go see a home, so I wanted to like look nice. Wanted to look nice in my nice Levi's. Doing well, but yeah, it's been a year, and I said this on the Patreon on the private episode today. It's like you lose 5 pounds, or no, you lose 4 pounds, you gain 4.5. You lose 5, you gain 5. It's tiny bit by tiny bit, but the way that I battle it is through internal shame. I don't know a better way. I don't know a better way to want to feel healthy, because if someone told me, Dave, it doesn't matter what you look like, it's about feeling good, I'd be 450 pounds right now. Because you know what feels good? And you posted this. Did you post this on your Instagram story? That you feel that, what was it, that you only feel whole with like a Chinese delivery and Netflix?
Let's see it.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I've never seen something describe Tasha more accurately.
It was like a picture of a turtle. Hold on, let's see if it's still up there. Yeah,
okay,
there we go.
What is that? Describe this.
Pressing play on Netflix with a full plate of food.
And it's just a content turtle.
Yeah, this turtle looks really in the zone.
And what is he saying in the photo?
Finally, inner peace.
That's it.
This is I wonder what cartoon this turtle is from.
But that's what the pandemic has whittled us down to, is like, what are we going to watch tonight? Which is good, but I don't want to set the record like this is going to be the rest of our lives. I do stand-up comedy. I have to tell jokes at night. Like, there's going to have...
Yeah, this is absolutely not forever.
I get nervous thinking about this, because every night, it's not like we're like, what show do we want to watch tonight? It's like, what series do we want to conquer tonight in this one sitting? I mean, we watched Unabomber in under 2 nights, and that was supposed to be a full season's worth of TV. And everyone listening,
8 episodes.
They know what we're talking about. Everyone's kind of going through this problem, but it's there are comforts to this pandemic that I'll have to slowly... we'll have to slowly get ourselves back into a grind. Are you texting somebody? Do you need something?
I'm looking something up. So.
Is it for the podcast?
Yes.
Okay. It looks like you're got all stressed out over there. So the hell was I talking about, Tasha? This is what happens when we take the phone out. I literally have wiped clear all the...
It's your fault.
I feel like you're not looking something up. I feel like you're posting an Instagram story.
I'm not.
Any guys out there with me, I can tell what Tasha's doing based on her eyebrows when she's texting. I can tell if she's in a Facebook argument. Like, I know if Tasha's defending pro-choice just by the way her eyes move when she's texting. So what are you looking up?
When I get to it, I'll let you know.
Well, this is supposed to be a conversation, so I'm talking
Dave,
to dead air here.
You need to check yourself, because I'm about to leave this table.
You're going to walk away?
Yeah, you're being completely rude.
Well,
you were perfectly fine with me
up.
looking at something when it was you that brought it up.
Well, you have
if this was a real radio show...
That's not real about this.
Then you would have to just fill the dead air like you constantly expect me to do when you get up to fix lights or press cameras.
There's nothing cuter than watching your face when you don't know what to say and I'm up there fixing a light, and then I got to go edit that out afterwards. All right, so show us what you got. Show us what you
Never
got, honey.
mind.
Share it with the class.
I was going to say when I was at the salon, the guy had a great playlist on, and that Maren Morris songs, Maren Morris?
Sure.
With the Bones?
Yeah.
Yeah, the country singer. That song came on, and I heard a lyric that I had never heard before. Like, I had just never processed it. It's the beginning of the song, but she said, we're on the home stretch of a hard time. And
interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know, we took a hard left, but something, I don't know. But, that's what the pandemic feels like. It's like we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like we're so close to getting back to like a little more normal of a life. We still have time to get through. We still have to all get our shots, and we'll probably be wearing masks in the workplace for a while. But I'm excited to like get to kind of pick up our plans where we left off. 2020 was going to be our year of travel, and here we are in 2021 without having taken a single trip. You know what I mean?
I got all these flight vouchers for airlines that might not exist anymore.
Yeah, so I'm, it's like we're in the home stretch now. So even though it's still a little rocky, it's still a little rough, it's like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and if we can just hold on a little longer, like I'm excited to see where we blossom.
Yeah, when
this.
You can't hold on any longer, you need the will to hold on. It's like a Killer song, right? I butchered the lyrics, but I agree, and I said this on the podcast. You must have been listening to my energy, Tasha, as you were cryotheraping. But by the way, the only therapy we've been to since we've dated has been cryotherapy, where we're just trying to freeze our emotions away.
Well, you know what? They don't give models free therapy.
Yeah.
If they
don't want you to resolve your daddy issues.
If you can, if there are any therapists out there that want to give us therapy in exchange for Instagram
wouldn't that be fun?
I'm down.
That's what's wild is we're like offering other people advice, and it's like, talk about the blind leading the blind. We had Lisa on. We're going to get to it all. We don't take notes. We don't have an agenda, folks. You're here chatting with your friends. So just grab an Adderall, grab some grapefruit wine, which I'll be honest, better than I thought. This grapefruit wine's actually very tasty. This wine's
yeah,
tasty.
It's like sweet, and it does have that sourness of
it's
a
not worth
grapefruit.
$94, but it's good. So Lisa Reed was on, tells us her story about how she broke up with her boyfriend, and this has never happened to me before. And he comments on the YouTube with a diatribe, very well written, about his side of the story.
Diatribe has a negative connotation. You should probably say like
his manifesto. He gave us his manifesto.
A dissertation.
He basically said like, hey, not all what you think, and we don't need to get in the X's and O's. People can go look at that, read it. I never responded. I guess this is my response. Hopefully, do you subscribe, Max? We appreciate you. But look, I mean things, but here's what annoyed me, because I'm taking his side to an extent, because she can be right. He can be right. The truth is in the middle, right? So we don't need to get into the X's O's of what happened. Go listen to last week's episode. But I'm like, look, the guy, he told her what he was all about. I like to travel. She was attracted to what he was, but then it didn't work out because she couldn't hang with him. And of course, who can? He's on his own. He's like a meteor just going in his own direction. So some people were like, oh, he's gaslighting her. And that term's so overused. You've told me I gaslight, and maybe I do. Maybe we all do. Maybe we all just are trying to win our point. Like everything in life is kind of like we're all in court, right? We got the court of public opinion. I don't want to come off desperate or like a loser. I want to state my case as to why I acted a certain way. We just had this nice conversation beforehand, how you were like, why didn't you pick up the mold yet? And I was like, I'm doing something over here. And then you're like, why are you being a jerk? And then I had to go make, potato puffs in the air fryer. Boy, we really do digress. And then afterwards, work our way out of that. But it was like, I just want you to recognize I'm doing something nice, and then I will get to it. So your tone was off. My response was off. Some people's relationships end because of simple things like that.
Absolutely.
And I heard that this is why I've called us roommates a few times, and you got sort of annoyed today when I referred to us as roommates. But so many issues in a relationship boil down to roommate problems.
Absolutely.
That's not how it should be.
Absolutely. For sure. Like I had a major fight with an ex over a spoon in the sink.
Oh, that poor soul.
A spoon in the sink covered in peanut butter or whatever it was. Because
that's all I leave nowadays.
I have completely given over to you.
But
your way of doing dishes, which is to make a huge mess, leave them out, and do them in the morning. I have given that to you.
Look in the sink right now.
Because
Get the camera and go into the sink. If I need an assistant, because that sink would show a clean sink.
Yeah, great. I'm happy for you. But before our relationship, I was a clean as you go. You are cleaning the dishes that you are using for cooking as you are cooking, so that by the time the food is done, all the dishes are clean except the one that the food is in.
This is where you're nuts, because you don't do that with your cooking.
I don't do that anymore, honey, because I can't keep up with the volume of mess you make. And also, if we're not on the same team,
right, so tell me
I'm
about
just
this
going to
fight.
harbor a lot of resentment about you not doing it my way. So that's something I was willing to just like let go of and let you have it your way. And I still get frustrated by the fact that like your way means that a good portion of the day or night may have dirty dishes in the sink, which is just never the way that I would want to do it. But I would rather do it your way and harbor no resentment all the time because you're not doing it my way.
How do you get in a fight over a spoon?
Well, this was before we had determined a way.
Because let's be honest with you. And again, we're all having fun here, Tasha. We're all having fun. But you've got a strong history of ending poorly with roommates. So who's the problem?
Honey,
I've had a couple of roommate issues myself. I've also put myself into some choice situations with roommates living in garages. Shout out Gilbert, he's on the Patreon, but he wasn't the problem at all. It was the poet who lived on the couch.
Let's think about this actually. I really only have one roommate where our relationship ended poorly over something other than that person's cleanliness.
Are we talking San Francisco?
Yeah.
I want you to make amends. Listen, guys, Tasha took me. We're in San Francisco. It's my first night really in the city. And Tasha's showing me the place she used to live. Her eyes were lighting up about this beautiful time she had in San Francisco. And then she mentioned a roommate she no longer talks with. And I was like, you need to make amends with that roommate. Oh, no, we're over. No.
I don't think that roommate has any interest in making amends with me.
It's not. That's the irony of making amends. It's not about them, Tasha. It's about you.
But here's the other thing is that I don't harbor any sort of like bad feelings around it.
Until I leave a peanut butter straw in the thing and you go AWOL.
Honey, that is completely separate from this. I have not always necessarily understood, but I think I've had like a kind of like innate sort of okayness with relationships running their course. And so and friendships fall into that category too. I'm a strong believer that like people will be in your life, whether that's like physically there with you or just somebody that you talk to on the phone every day, at a time when you really need them. You know?
Vice versa, you're done with them. What a counter-dependent thing to say.
Then no, not at all. I think I get a lot of peace out of this philosophy. No, I'm serious. That like, it's okay.
What will be. It's
okay if friends grow apart. I mean, I've lived in cities all over the United States. I used to move every 3 months. So like I have made a lot of friends that I am no longer in close proximity with.
But is there bad blood?
Of the communication that I have with them nowadays is seeing their posts on Facebook or Instagram, and I'm content with that. I'm okay with that. I don't have this like need to like cling on to a friendship that has run its course and we're growing in different directions.
Let me ask you this, because everyone's different. I think this is going to be kind of gender based. I think guys have this more than I think guys are more fraternal. Obviously, how many group chats do you have on your phone with your chicks? Do you have group chats out?
We do have a couple group chats.
You have that dance group chat. I'm sure that's a blast.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to mess with you. No, just thinking about it because I always like, I have friends that are, you hear like these memes of like these dudes like, oh, you accidentally messaged the boys. And it's like, it's a very like cliche thing to talk about all the guys you have. And I'm like, oh shoot, do I have that? But I got my, my mansplained guys, and then I've got my New York guys. So I have two very small group chats going on. And then I've got my, my Venice Gays, my baseball team group chat, which has been, maybe I'm off it or something. I the pandemic, we haven't been
What about
chatting
your
much.
Marseille group chat?
I've got Marseille group chat. Good point, Tasha. I've got a French group chat. I like to keep it around, but I love keeping track with people and knowing how they're doing, and it's so important to me. I mean, one of the quickest ways to bring myself to tears would be to think of like the positive relationships I've had. So to hear that you had such a good time in San Francisco and you never ended it in a way that has some sort of peace, whether you believe it or not, has to be somewhere inside of you.
Well, if we want to get into the specifics, our problem didn't start until New York. But the point is that no, I don't harbor any.
But it was a roommate problem. It was a household duties problem.
No.
Or like she was out partying and you didn't want it. It was one of those like not on the same energy level with a roommate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
the rest is semantics.
And we are also just like both very stubborn people. I think I would wait until my dying day to receive an apology from someone rather than ask for it. You know what I mean?
We know, Tosh. I've been trying to tell you this for 6 years.
And I think probably she was the same way. We're very similar in our
was she
personalities.
counter-dependent or what, or was it just an emotional thing where you were both kind of bullheaded with not caring enough? Because
it was a very specific circumstance and a very specific situation, and I felt like I was in the right and that she was being a little unreasonable, and I can only assume that she thought that she was in the right and that I was being unreasonable.
What's interesting is this is 10 years ago. Let's just call it 10 years, whatever it was. But could you find a way to apologize to her? Could you find something that she did wrong? Whether it might not be the initial thing.
That
but
I did wrong.
Right,
you mean.
right.
Sure, I can look back and think, oh, maybe I just, wasn't flexible enough. But
that's what amends are. Amends are just saying, hey, I was really stressed about work and I didn't X, Y, and Z, but now I understand where I'm at in life, that it should have gotten in the way of things, and I miss you and I hope you're well. No need to respond.
Dave, you do not know even what happened. So you're making a whole story.
I'm not blaming you. I'm just
out of this thing that was like really insignificant, and I don't think about it anymore, and I don't think she thinks about it anymore.
So you probably think just because we were in San Francisco that it came up, that it's not like you've got a family member.
Right.
Okay.
There's literally no big deal about it. We had a girl fight and we just stopped talking to each other because I stayed in New York and she went back to school, and so we were not in close proximity anymore. Okay. We weren't talking every day. We weren't hanging out. We're just, we don't know each other anymore. But do I think she's a wonderful person? Yes, but you are making it out.
Well,
I'm just saying, like, I don't understand why you would bring up, like, oh, you have a roommate problem when you don't even know what you're talking about. I'm sure I told you the specifics of this story, but you've got no freaking clue. I can see behind your blank eyes right now. You don't know what happened, so you're just making it out like it was this big emotional thing.
I've had roommate issues, and I understand what makes me a bad roommate. Both with Brendan and my first Santa Monica roommate didn't end well. It didn't end well, and I do know what I did wrong, and I don't know. Every circumstance is so specific to the living space, so I don't know if I brought those issues here. But what is interesting is my form of teamwork is like saying, you know what, kitchen's mine. I'll own up to the kitchen. And maybe that just means I'm not good at teamwork, but I don't like us, standing next to each other doing dishes. And it's also like such a small space that us standing next to each other.
Well, I think that delegating responsibility, like all of this boils down to communication, right? And it can be very hard to communicate with a roommate when you feel like they're falling short. You don't want to hurt their feelings. You don't want to offend them. You don't want to step on their toes. Maybe this is just not how they do it. But like either way, you're in a state where you're not in flow.
And roommates
with
don't
each other, right?
End up in bed at the end of the night and have to make amends. Maybe that's what it is roommates don't have to make amends the way couples do. You either make amends or you secretly hate each other or you break up. I mean, you have to make a choice, versus roommates you can kind of just bleed away until
your lease is up and you
move lease is up. What about dating leases up? Tosh, it's been 6 years. Should we renew? Or
that is actually, it's funny that you say that.
Can I get my deposit back?
That is really like a method that some people have been using in dating. Like people, I mean, it's unconventional, obviously, but they're saying like, okay, we're making a commitment for 3 months. And then at that end of that time, we'll see how it, we'll check back in.
Yeah, circle back. Corporate couples. Let's circle back and CC. Or you just like, should I CC your mom?
Which honestly, I mean, let's think about it. Really is. I think it would be really beneficial for women in particular to do their relationships that way, whether it's like a spoken agreement between two parties or not. But I do think that like when you're on a timeline, marriage minded, and you don't know if your person is on the same page, and you've maybe had the discussions, but you just don't have clear answers. I think it's important to reflect like, okay, after this amount of time, like, where do I feel like we are in the marriage? In the relationship, do I still think we're good candidates for marriage, which is my ultimate goal? Is this person on the same like road as me?
But also don't spook the person by using those words on the second date.
But if they aren't, then maybe it's time to just have a clean break, no guilt about it, and go our separate ways, But I think like having those benchmarks of your timeline in your head.
Yeah. I like that, but I also would worry that someone could not, catch up to the benchmark. And, we had this talk, actually, let's segue into it because it fits. But we had this talk with the Bachelor couple, Becca Kufrin and Garrett. They dated. As soon as it became official that he was the quote-unquote winner of the Bachelorette, he proposed to her. They got engaged. And then people started seeing the different kind of racist memes he liked on Instagram back in the day and this and that. And he's obviously got a different political ideology than she does. And the question in their relationship became, could they have worked this out? Could they have gotten to know each other? Like if we met night one and we realized we had differencing of ways that we communicate, if we just met, had a sip, and we're like, oh, this isn't going to work, maybe, but you slowly get to unearth a little bit about each other, and then you learn how to handle it in a way that doesn't make you a bad person or me a bad person.
You're still on the same team. And that's why it worked for us versus any of our past relationships.
But
we had a similar goal in mind. We both wanted to work through issues as they arose. We both were willing to do that. And for, a lot of people, depending on where they are in their life, maybe they're just not, we were talking about having Lisa on. And, I think it just comes down to like, if he had, I'm not trying to put blame on him or her or anybody, but just like, if you are realizing, oh, this particular thing is a problem in our relationship right now, this is something that we need to tackle, it's something that we need to figure out, you're either willing to do it or you're not.
Right.
And it seemed like from her telling of the story that he just, wasn't interested in trying to make it work.
Yeah, and who knows, maybe he did, but he just couldn't butt his tongue on certain core beliefs. Like maybe he was on his own spectrum of bullheadedness, because sometimes you shouldn't expect to change your political beliefs or anything for anybody, but you should at least be open-minded. Here's how I can relate, Tasha. I've learned more from you than I could from any gender studies class about having like I've never been one to like I've never been super sexist in like a shame women type of way, but I also never had to put myself through someone else's shoes as far as what it might feel like to walk home late at night or deal with certain issues that I couldn't fathom as a man who wouldn't get messed with.
Yeah, you've never been on the receiving end of any sort of like anything related to feminism.
Never been mugged, never had to deal with anything because I'm just not worth messing with and haven't been in that scenario. You would just mess with, so anyway. Yeah, so I've learned a lot and but if night one we got engaged, you spend time getting to know each other, but then it all becomes public in one night. And then say I liked back in the day I made a joke about Adele's weight. It essentially boiled down to I was making fun of a fat woman about her weight.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Not cool at all. Is it still up? Maybe. I got shamed by this group of musical theater girls that I know.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad
because my intention wasn't to make fun of like, hey, I'm going to make fun of fat chicks today. But I still didn't have a good intention. It was still making fun of Adele's weight. And I had to really look at that and go, oh man, yeah, this is like, there's nothing funny. There's nothing it added zero value. And it took some people being like, bro, F you, blah, blah, blah. And I remember that. And her name was Lenny. I remember she was a friend of Harley's. And she probably, I don't know if she even remembers this, but I'm sure she remembers me as a bad guy. And regardless of wanting to be liked, it was a bad use of bandwidth. It just was a bad use. You got to be smarter than that. And chalked it up to being 25 at the time. Chalked it up to being a mid-20s kind of dude.
We were talking about this thing this morning, actually. Like, is this the hill you want to die on? You were talking about people, like the free speech argument that's going on right now, and how, certain people in Hollywood have said you can't make it in Hollywood if you're a Republican, or, comedians being like very adamant pro free speech, and like anti-censorship. But we're forgetting the nuance, right? We said, well, what's the difference? Like, you wouldn't walk into your workplace and like very bullheadedly spout your beliefs, because that's not the place to do it. So,
but what if someone at your workplace said you did this 3 years ago? Now it's in your workplace. That's where it becomes complicated, right?
But what I'm really trying to, let's just set that aside for a second.
Sure.
It's about like your willingness to accept criticism, your willingness to listen when other people kind of make a plea with you for why this isn't cool, or why you should wear a mask when you go out in public because it's considerate of others.
And it would be considered a fragility. And I hate to use these gender terms because now it's going to be called a male fragility. But this is what I said in my video that's releasing tomorrow, is that, like it or not, men have fragile egos. Women, you've got fragile egos about getting rejected in certain ways. Like trust me, because you.
Can I finish my thought?
Please go for it. I was ready to do 20 minutes on women getting rejected.
When someone's like doing the work of calling you out on something, right? It's normally coming from like personal experience, so it's a heartfelt plea. It's a heartfelt plea from the mom of a micro preemie baby to like, please wear a mask in public. It's a heartfelt plea from a woman to a guy who just doesn't get it about like women's issues or feminism, because they've lived that personal experience. So they have just a little more round of a perspective than someone who hasn't necessarily worn those shoes or dress. And it's the same. What were we just talking about?
I fat shamed Adele.
Yeah. I mean, when you do something that isn't cool, that's just not cool anymore.
A decade ago, folks.
When you were in third grade, it was fine to make that joke. But we have gotten to a point as a collective, as a society, where it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, and I've known it's not cool for years, and I can talk about it as a place of growth. Now, the problem is
some people will not ever accept any pushback. And that's my point. Some people
does that make the person flawed, or they just haven't learned how to cope with that part of emotional intelligence?
I think it's kind of both. I mean, I think it's one of those things, like anybody can be taught, but they have to be willing to be taught. So somebody has to like be willing to listen to another person's point of view and not just be so focused on like, I'm right, or like winning the argument, because it's not an argument, it's a conversation.
I'm always the type that feels, and this could be my own toxic optimism, but that I can kind of change people's opinions. I think most of America wants very similar things. I think we all want to feel like we provide for our family and feel safe and have health care. And like, it's very simple what we want. It's just that there's so many different avenues to get there that we become divided. But I think if you gave me a weekend on a fishing boat with Garrett, and say like Garrett was my buddy Darren, he's like, I'm having a hard time with my girl, and I'll be like, all right, what is she saying? What are you saying? And then, I bet you that weekend is over and they can patch things up. If the guy, like you said, has the desire to want to better himself.
Some people just want to argue at the Christmas table. Some people just like can't let it go. They have to come off as right. They have to prove their point. They have to win the debate. But
that's not good. That's not good for a relationship. And I've always loved the quote. I think it was it Wayne Dyer? It was some spiritual leader or another, but said, "Learn when you're in a pissing match and get out." The second you're in and it happens in our relationship. The second it's not productive. All right, Boone, you're getting a walk. We're going for a walk, because we've lost the conversation. Now with issues with Garrett, I've never been shamed. I've never had to win over the hearts and minds of people in public. So I don't know what that is, what that might add to a conversation when you're in your 20s. I mean, honestly, I hate to sound old, but when I was his age, I probably would have just gone haymakers on people.
Yeah.
Versus just quieting up. That's why people hire PR firms, because they know what they're doing.
Like, I think there's a possibility, he grows from this experience. I mean, he lost his relationship. He lost his potential. They were engaged.
And now he's with
lost
a yoga teacher.
And, some people never grow. They never change. They never soften. They never learn anything new. But a lot of people do, and it just takes time, which is why I think, like, you mentioned him being publicly shamed, which I imagine is a horrible experience. But I do think that, like, people are receptive to heartfelt apologies and a willingness to learn and grow. And I think if he had, had the wherewithal to listen, absorb, stop, reflect, say sorry, promise to do better, I think that people would have let up on him. But, some people are just, like, really bullheaded while they're figuring that stuff out. This is, like, higher level sort of emotional growth that
plus you have to factor in the people online looking for woke points to, like, catch people being evil and this and that. And I'm the opposite, where I think most people are. I think the closer you look at somebody, the more you see that they're good. Like Matt James, the current Bachelor, people, news broke he might be a Republican. It's like, well, does that bother you, or do we want to look at his community service with the inner city black kids of New York? Let's look into that. Let's expand our energy into the positives, not the negatives. And speaking of that, and that's what we've done because we're looking at upgrading our living space. Part of the theory after a year in pandemic in a 500 square foot apartment is that maybe if we double our living space and have extra bedrooms, we'll be creating better quality content. And part of that feeling, as we've gone on to look at homes, new places 6 days in a row, is expanding what we like and letting out what we don't like. Like, let's not worry about what's wrong with places. Let's find out what we love about them. And we haven't found the place yet. We're still looking, but it's a place that I'm proud that we're both at when it comes to wanting to expand our territory. I mean, our audience has grown with us in this little kitchen for a long time. You want to talk about tight waistlines? It's this apartment for us. I mean, we bought a lot of Christmas supplies.
Every time we make it, we, like, have to take a photo indoors or, like, shoot something indoors. We literally have to move furniture.
I opened my green screen, it pops out, and I almost decapitated this puppy. There's literally, this poor dog spends his whole day sleeping and avoiding being, like, maimed by a leg of a table.
I just, like, can't wait.
He's right here if you're watching. The dog's right there.
I can't wait to, like, take a picture of, like, my cute living room without having to, like, move furniture out of the way. Oh, here he comes.
I got him. I woke him up.
Why did you wake him up?
He's not going to be happy. If someone starts watching at the 47-minute mark, they'll wonder why a basset hound is on mic. If you're watching right now, the dogs enter the conversation. He's woken up. But so part of growing both mentally and also, my waistline physically is just, like, learning that we can be bigger. We can have bigger slices of the pie. It's actually my burning desire in this year's sort of gratitude. What's the journal called?
I Am Journal.
My I Am Journal. What part of my burning desire when
your
it's
manifestation journal
boiled down is to just reach more people. Just keep on enjoying making content and reach more people. And for me, that's kind of basically been with YouTube, but it's podcast, YouTube, Patreon, and it's really wild to think someone commented or sent me a message the other day saying they were watching a video. They fell asleep, and then because they were listening to me talk as they fell asleep, by the way, I'm sorry, I hope that was a good sleep. Did you have a wet dream? Did you know? She's like, no, I didn't. But as she said, she texted me this. I read this to you. She dreamt that we were in, like, a loft with a live band playing.
Yeah, I think she said, I don't know if she said a downtown loft, but in my head, it was one of the downtown lofts, like, that you can get in the arts district. And yeah, she said we had a pet skunk that had been de-skunked.
And Tosh was like, "Oh, I love that." But
what do they call scent glands removed?
Yeah, they squeeze out their scent butt glands, whatever they are. I don't know. I'm not a vet. But
anyway, skunks are cute. But
what if?
Hell.
Yeah, they got cute noses and toes.
They're so cute.
But what if our viewers and listeners' positive energy helps our manifestation. Can we put like
yes,
because people listen.
Oh, you want to get freaky?
In more ways than one. Yeah, sure.
All right, you ready for this? I'm going to try and tell it the best I can, but it's going to require some working through. So hopefully everyone's on board. I haven't taken Adderall in 6 months.
Tasha's had a glass of wine and an edible, so buckle up.
All right. I think you're right. I think if we put out a consciousness call and we asked for everyone to help us manifest a beautiful dream house or dream apartment for us to like create really great content, I think if everyone was manifesting that for us, it would be the same as like prayer requests. And here's where I was about to get freaky. I've told you this before, but let's just walk through it again. So they've done studies, right? This is, like you read about the CIA doing like whatever. Doesn't matter. This was actually like a medical study. They did studies on the power of prayer. And it was a double-blind study, and they had basically like a group of people who were ill who were prayed for, and a group of people who were ill who were not prayed for. And these people didn't know who they were praying for, and these people didn't know whether they were getting prayers or not. Now, the people who were prayed for had significantly better outcomes statistically than the people who were not prayed for. So that's kicker one. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Can I relate that to nature?
Kicker two, no, because the study's not over. Kicker two.
The hand choices you're using. Watch YouTube just to see Tasha flail her hands. You just got like Maury Povich, I'm not the father on your hands.
Kicker two is that the people who were prayed for or not prayed for, the praying happened at a different time than the illness, if that makes sense.
Time travel stuff.
Well, not time travel, but
they
like
asked people to pray in the past.
Continuum of time,
so,
right?
So back in the day, they said pray on this date?
No. The people were sick. They were divvied into prayed for and not prayed for.
Divvied.
They had their outcome. And then it was only like 30 years later that they asked the people on the other end of that double-blind study to pray for these people.
All right, that's a lot.
And then retroactively, they looked at who had the outcomes they did, and the people who were prayed for had significantly better outcomes, even though the things had not yet happened. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So it's
it's like the root system of trees. If you only feed and give light to one tree, it knows to redistribute the water through the root system.
I don't see how that relates.
Well, the fact is that we can all pray and communicate in a way that doesn't make sense in the three-dimensional world. Like, we're all connected. Vicariously, if I slit my wrist, you would go, wow! Like, you would feel, ah!
I mean, I just know that I am a pretty bright person. I'm going to go ahead and pat myself on the back and give myself a little credit and say, I got a couple brain cells rolling around. Like, I do okay.
Northern Kentucky.
Public education.
What's it called? Sula Victorian? What's the
valedictorian?
What's the second one?
Salutatorian. Right?
See, you don't know either. A valedictorian would know that. No, you're right. You're very smart.
Anyway, my point is that I know nothing about that, like quantum physics.
Right.
Time stuff.
Right.
My brain cannot wrap around it. So I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say most of our listeners have no freaking clue how time works, just like most of humanity has no freaking clue how time works. But like lots of really, really smart, fancy like science and math people have done studies on how it works and say it's not a continuum, that it's like all interdimensional and connected. And like, so that makes me believe in the power of positive intention and positive thoughts and the universe rearranging in order to make things happen for you in the way that's best for you, you know, in the way that you want, in the way that you are attracting. So if people want to pray for us to get a nicer place, hey, we will take your prayers.
I love the Walmart wine energy that Tasha's giving up right now. I agree with you on that we've talked about side gigs and the low energy you feel when you go to a job you don't love. And the truth is YouTube's been paying me money, and the Patreon has been paying me money, and it's just about scaling up to a position where we are not just creating but thriving by sharing our stories and having fun and sharing the good word of Tasha and Dave. It's
I think it's time for a rebrand.
Yeah, so it's
the good word of Tasha.
The good word of Tasha and Dave. It's like just a Bible. It's like, yeah, we're a cult now. We all have sex and watch each other. Sign up. Tag us. It's an interesting time. And, we both have questioned our own limitations in life and wondering why we have yet to truly feel like we deserve more, because we're both very marketable. I think we are pretty good at what we do. And it just comes down to knowing we live in a very competitive city that for one reason or another, good people don't make it. And we need to just know
hold up, take that back. You're not putting that energy out into my universe.
I don't mean like they don't make it for good. It's like there's a lot of talented people that just haven't found their thing yet.
We're doing great work. No, I'm serious. We're doing great work. We're like staying motivated, staying excited. We keep trotting along, even when things don't necessarily feel like they're happening fast enough. I think we have really redirected our energies in 2020, and I 100% believe that we're going to see some payoff in 2021.
Isn't it funny how that works with energy when it comes to just having a little bit of a better vibe? You know what I try to do is I've got this unlicensed music. I started playing this music before I started playing this music just like energy wise before I do my recaps. It's just like I have this one, and they're just stingers. They're just like 15-second things. And I'll just like, you can't hear this because you're on the couch sleeping, but I'll literally just start jamming out and just like giving it to myself. Just a real dirty stank. Right? They're just stingers I got here. So I give myself these dirty stanks, and then all of a sudden...
What is it? I'm sorry, hold on.
A dirty stank?
Are you doing
some
stanky
it's a wet fart. It's a wet
Ew.
fart. A dirty stank? Yeah, this is a dirty stank right here. Oh, yeah. So the point is I got all these other ones that people don't even get to hear, really, but like, when we're ladies and crying, and then if it's someone's birthday, we got the whole thing. We got the whole gambit on the live stream. I use them on the live streams a lot to promote the YouTube. But it's an energy thing. It's getting ready to go on stage and just breathing a lot and oxygenating the body and getting that vibration up. And it's like if we only had if the only way people could ever hear us on the podcast or our intentions was through like those hand cranked radios, those old school they'll camp them, you like crank them and then they work. Like we have to crank the vibration. Why you look like you're crying? You about to cry?
No,
you're very teary eyed. Am I getting to you,
honey?
Was it the stinger?
I have 0 tears in my eyes, but I was thinking about my personal choices in life and whether or not they reflect.
I hope they're positive.
My desire to like grow and thrive.
Jesus Christ, we're an hour in. I feel like this is a whole new topic. Do you feel like first of all...
I feel like the edible hit.
My choices in life and like, what does it all mean? And I love some... Just hang in there. I'm going to cook some Mexican salad. We're going to do a nice stir-fry type of thing. So just, can you hang in there?
Honey, I'm in a great place.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're in a great place. You started looking at me like...
No, I was thinking while I was listening.
Good. Well, look, we do have to wrap up. I didn't even get into the topic I wanted to talk about, but I guess we got far enough into our conversation about really what comes down to just effectively communicating and understanding that, the first step in effectively communicating is understanding that my way is not the right way. It's just the way that works for me, and I need to find the other person's. And we've both done a good job of that, of realizing, always have work to go, but we realize what works and doesn't work, and let's breathe light into what works. We don't have enough time. We don't have enough time to worry about the little things. Let's look at what works. Like in our relationship, we know for the most part what works. I think we'd be a hit on reality TV. I mean, the lines I come up with that never make it to the air.
You'd be canceled so fast.
Why is that?
You're just, I don't think you're cut out for, I'm definitely not cut out for reality TV. I don't know why you would say
just
that.
The amount of times that you would say something to me and I would just look to camera like, are you? But like all the times I choose not to respond and I'm just like, That's too. If someone was here with me, they would be like buying me a shot of, right now. They'd totally understand my point. But in the end, maybe it's that own like multiple personality disorder that lets me deal with it. I'm just gonna hang out with my friends in the kitchen and do dishes. I don't know. I feel like as far as energy and vibrations go, it's hey, look, whether you pray to Allah, Buddha, Krishna, Yahweh, whatever it is, or yourself, or the New England Patriots, it doesn't matter. As long as you're putting good energy out into the world. I mean, that's what it really comes down to. The whole country is divided right now. It's a dangerous, scary place. And rather than, find out what's wrong with each other, let's find out what's right in positive energy. You can't help. Look, try extra hard to smile if you have a mask on. I think you can smile with a mask on. You just really get into it.
Everyone's crow's feet are going to be way deeper in 2021 because of all the extra smizing we've been doing.
Do the extra smizing. Figure out what's working. And it's like there's no better time to practice this for our single friends out there. Where were we driving the other day? Oh, we were in a nice neighborhood, and like one lady was like watering her lawn, and she smiled at me. And I'm like, well, that's not something we've seen in a while. I didn't even mention. I was going to mention this at the top of the episode, but my car battery was stolen for the third time. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/thesap, patreon.com/thesap. Seriously, don't join because you're sad that my car battery got stolen, but for sure that's where the $85 will be going this month. It's become a pretty good revenue stream of ours. I do extra bonus content. This episode I talked about the song Creep. There are 2 songs by Creep. Creep.
Oh, but that's not the one I know what you're talking about.
What the hell am I doing here? And anyway, that whole song, I went into a deep dive on my Patreon. It was very interesting.
Wait, really? That song? Oh, I thought it was...
No. I did both songs. So Creep by Radiohead, I went into it on the Patreon episode because I can play all the music. I can play anything. So if anyone wants to listen to it, it's very interesting. Creep has become this song where it's like about like some weirdo. The song's about the weirdo within.
Yeah.
You want that edible to hit. Let it hit right now.
I already...
It's about the I was gonna say edible within. Yeah, there's an edible within. It's about the creep within, the inauthentic person. So I didn't even know this, and it's blowing my mind as I listen to the lyrics. And then the more lyrics I hear, the more they were talking about like ghost notes, and it's like that ring guitar note that plays in between lyric, and it's this whole song. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really cool. And it's like, in what better time are we talking about being your authentic self? What did it get you being what someone else wanted? You got laid off. You're on, this and that. Be your authentic self. It's, be the Danny DeVito of your life and get noticed and recognized and be unique. And at the end of the day, as you brush your teeth, you'll be authentically yourself. And that's what we strive for, is just being the weirdest. I hope to think you and I are way weirder now than we were when we started dating. I think the channels are open for us to say some weird stuff to each other.
Well, I think what has happened after being with someone for so long is that really the walls have officially come down. I mean, I don't know. Do you have any walls left?
Yeah. My masturbation schedule, that wall exists. I'm not just saying, hey, honey, I'll be in the other room, just, jerking chain over here. No, there's some walls that exist. I still operate from a place of shame. I was raised Catholic. I never want you to smell the bathroom after 3 hours. Like, I'm very there. Yeah. But I understand your point. Yeah, I understand your point.
We just both accept each other as a little bit strange.
I can say some weird things to you and vice versa, and we can have fun with it. And if you can't do that in a relationship, you got to ask yourself, am I weird enough? Ask yourself out there in your relationship, hey, honey, are we weird? Do we do weird things? Yeah, chances are your man's tying his shoes and you stick your finger in his crack. You do it. Don't act like I can't tie my shoes without having my butt clenched, Tasha. I don't trust you at all. I don't need you to swipe it.
Every time you bend over, especially when you got sweatpants on, I just shove a thumb.
Tasha just sees like a neon sign pointing to my butthole that says, "Please destroy something now."
Okay, but let's be real. You got jeans on or whatever, but nothing.
No, you've done it in fabric.
What's so funny is the reason that this continues is just I've never seen you move so fast. I mean, you jumped.
I go from bending over to like saluting a lieutenant, just immediately just. But you don't think you think I got a flat ass? That thing could really just, I could seal that thing up in 2 seconds.
By the way, how hilarious was that TikTok of people catching a spatula between their cheeks?
I could hear that.
You think you could do that?
Yeah, on the day after I do squats, where my like butt's kind of loose, just what I mean, like muscular wise, it's loose. Anyway, folks, so I talked about the song "Creep" by Radiohead, which I thought was really cool.
You know what's a good one? People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. This one.
Keep on going.
No, I forgot the words.
I was gonna put some background music for you.
But that's one of those that's kind of, it's very much written out of the the writer's personal experience.
You know what's interesting is that the more you listen to a song, the more your brain rewards you for knowing the lyrics, and that's something we probably all knew. But that's why there's certain songs they like, I just don't get it, and next thing you know, it's like "Party in the USA" and everyone's singing, and it's a jam. It's like, well, they made you listen to it 13 times in a row on the radio. Like you start to become rewarded.
It's a jam. I mean,
it's a jam. But like country grammar, those are all jams. Yeah, absolutely. But a jam is addicting like that. And a song was made called "Creep." Not Radiohead, but a new song called "Creep." And of course, I talk about a stalker situation in the Bachelor community. A guy stalked a girl. If you don't know the story, you got to watch my old YouTube videos. She starts dating this new guy, or maybe was just friends with him, and he writes a song about it, calling the stalker a creep. And all the details are in it. So I played that.
Do you know the words?
Yeah, it's oh geez.
No, just off the top of your head. No, if you don't got it, don't worry
goes
about it.
Creep. Oh geez, yeah.
You told me it the first time, and I was like, "Whoa!" Something about under
do you want
the car.
Do you want me to play a second of it?
No,
I'll just play the beginning.
You're gonna get demonetized.
No. I won't get demonetized. I'm just gonna play the beginning, and we'll just talk and listen to it. But I got it right here, but that's the wrong version. I need Brighton's version. By the way, he liked my Instagram story today. I shouted him out. Clearly, he can't. This is the song right here. Let's see if I can play it. So now I know the lyrics because I hear the tune.
All right,
it
so
goes,
turn it down. Babe, you got 5 seconds. It's like the show.
Creep, think you're thinking about her.
Okay, I
you're
never.
creep,
I regret
you can't
asking.
stop thinking about her. And then this part that gets crazy is 206. Hold on, folks. Hang in there. How do I get to the 206?
Honey, this is...
Here it comes. I know you're the thing that she's the one that got away. Put a tracker in her whip just to walk her Bronco. Whatever. I don't know the lyric. The point is,
watch her walk away.
Yeah, the point is the song cuts deep and it's about the stalker. Anyway, I get into all the specifics in the Patreon episode. If you guys want to watch that or listen to it, it's audio only. It's on the Patreon. Otherwise, you can watch my YouTube video about it. patreon.com/thesap. It's where we make some of our cheddar. It's where you can donate and all that other jazz. I do want to thank all the people that have sent Venmos and PayPals. We just got one from Polly in Australia, sent a PayPal. Venmos from people all over. I'm talking like some of them, just real generous amounts. $40, we got $100. It's just crazy. 20s, 10s. Christians always slide money. You don't need to do that. These people are all out there. We really appreciate it. So, we want to, there's obviously, it took us a while to want to make a Patreon because I operate and was born in a place of limitation. And I'm like, what asshole wants to give me a couple bucks? And the point is that even the $7 level or the $12, it all adds up and it becomes a substantial amount of money and lets us keep the equipment running and all that. Because after Lisa's dog chewed through my headphones, I need to buy some new equipment. You should have watched that YouTube. The dog just runs off with the expensive headset. I'm like, what are you doing over there? Come on. Anyway, folks, so we got to get out of here. Tasha, you got to go find her and support her on Instagram at Tasha Courtney and TikTok, same.
At Tasha_Courtney. I locked myself out of Tasha Courtney on Musical.ly.
And then is there anything else that you want to promote over there?
No, if anyone wants to check out the blog, I'm always pushing that. It's wearetravels.com.
We should do a pandemic Valentine's Day idea blog. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Oh, I just created 2 extra hours of work for myself. I knew it as soon as I said that. Yeah, let's work. We can brainstorm it. We can start it off because it's only January 10th where we're coming from. So maybe that we can do a nice pandemic Valentine's Day special. So anyway, check back. We'll stay in touch with Tasha's social media when she promotes that. My social is at DNealz, DNEALZ on Instagram and Twitter. Although I'm really only using Instagram right about now. And then on TikTok, same thing at DNealz. And of course, with the YouTube, if you want to check out some of the other content, we released a show called Mansplained, and it's where me and a couple of buddies offer advice to strangers, and it's a lot of fun. We offer random advice. So if you want to venture away from the podcasting world and watch some of that stuff, it's all on my YouTube. Anything else there we want to promote there, Tasha?
No, I don't think so.
Do you want to end on one of these cool new stingers, or do you want to end on the normal ending?
I am going to let you choose.
All right, I'm going to end on the stinger. This has been the SAP. Thank you guys so much for listening. Get those frequency levels up. We need a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, balcony, backyard space, something friendly for the dog. And please get me some air conditioning. See you guys next time. Bye, everybody.